James, Bathsheba, and the wide range of LO staff members, they created, refined, and implemented a program that was the model that has worked and continues to work till this day. So in the next video, you will learn from LO's alumni across the city how this program made an impact on the lives as students, as professionals, and as people. And following that video, you'll hear from Jonathan Jordan, class of 2011, as he looks back, 2011. And he's really gonna give us an opportunity as he reflects and looks back on the significance of LO support as he's journeyed through high school and to college and to his chosen profession. So please, make your attention to the video.
The success of the newly created College Bound program in the 90s led to expansion opportunities. We were featured on NBC News with Tom Brokaw and highlighted as an example of, quote, what works. That national exposure led to calls from parents all over New York City who wanted to know how to enroll their child or children in the program.
When my daughter was graduating from middle school and entering high school, I had some fears and concerns. My fear was that she wasn't going to receive the education that she needed for college from a public high school.
So after doing my due diligence and seeing all that legal outreach offered for my children and for my son, it helped me as a individual who grew up in the inner city, who wasn't afforded opportunities to excel in higher education, knowing that they would get the proper education, or should we say double school, as my children would put it, helped me to push the envelope a little further to say, yes, you have to be a part of this program, because in order to be a professional, you have to be educated.
They became more confident. They learned things that they would not have learned had they not participated. And they were also excited about the exposure that they were going to get to colleges, to law firms, regardless of what they were doing there.
Not only did legal outreach help her academically, but as the saying goes, it takes a village, and legal outreach was my village.
With funding, we were able to expand from Harlem to other underserved communities in Manhattan, then from Manhattan to Brooklyn, from Brooklyn to Queens, and finally from Queens to the Bronx. To serve more students, rather than work with school districts, we formed alliances with law schools to introduce 8th graders to the law through a 5-week summer law institute that was a condensed version of the full-year law program implemented in Harlem.
I view the SLI program as kind of the beginning for me. I came into the program with a lot of energy, a lot of excitement and hope for the future, but not really sure how or where to channel it.
The 5-week course definitely helped me understand the importance of really dedicating my life to not only my profession, but also developing my character.
I was always very self-motivated, and I always wanted better for myself in a sense, but I think that summer really showed me that there was no limits to what I could achieve.
So it was really much like a dream, and maybe an unattainable dream to be a lawyer, but going through SLI, it made it all very tangible.
It was such a huge launch board for what I thought of myself and how I thought I could build my life, and even who I became in high school and later in college.
I started to really think, wow, someone actually wants more for me. They want me to go to college. They want me to be able to not only have a seat at the table, but also understand, what do I do once I have a seat at the table?
SLI really allowed me to create a vision where there wasn't one before, right? I've been saying I wanted to be an attorney, but didn't really understand what that was.
So as I think about the College Bound program, what stands out to me the most is how much LO actually believed in me, and the fact that they saw so much more than I saw it myself. I think beyond what you'll hear time and again from all the other alumni is that the resources that we had in our high school weren't frankly enough.
So Legal Outreach's greatest impact was my education. It served as my primary source of education in high school. I didn't go to a competitive school, and many of my peers in the program were often 1 to 2 levels in math and science ahead of me. So it definitely helped me to be a better student and matriculate into Babson College.
It's about exposure, because when you are in high school, the public school system will only provide you so much. When you have an extended after-school program that's free, and you allow students to become exposed to debates, to other peers, learning SATs, you're giving them an opportunity to really open avenues to other success in life and opportunities in life that you can take.
Not only did we practice speaking persuasively, but we had to speak in front of people, which for most people, especially at that age, you're, in an official setting, of course, it's quite nerve-wracking. But I feel like I came alive, and that's why I continued with LO, because I loved it so much.
Now I was in an environment with like-minded people who are wanting to break generational curses and wanting to really make a mark in the world,
So seeing other people who also wanted to do the same thing that I did, maybe not the law route, but just making sure that they can excel in everything that they do, really gave me that confidence.
They were committed to making sure that I made it out of that program, not just graduating from high school, but actually achieving the success that I'd set, the success and the goals that I had set for myself very early on.
I can honestly say that the College Bound program prepared me for being an attorney just as much as law school did. From the grammar classes to the debate competitions, I learned so much about the basics of what I needed to do to be a successful professional, and those carried on to being a successful attorney as well.
I think that without Legal Outreach, I definitely would not have had the resources that I need. My parents and myself, being immigrants, we didn't know how the college process worked or the things that we should be thinking about, from participation in extracurriculars to preparing to financially pay for college. Legal Outreach helped provide all of those resources and then helped me build a baseline skill set.
I didn't have anyone from my family to really look to for help, or I'm a first-generation student, so that was not really an option for me. So it was either I'm figuring it out on my own, but then it's Legal Outreach coming in to provide that support.
I feel like Legal Outreach planted a seed in me and considering the possibility of having a legal career and being confident doing so.
So while Legal Outreach is still about law, it also positioned me to build my skills so I can be in areas, be in the rooms where different professionals were there and still be able to speak for myself and make myself sound as a smart young man.
I'm sitting in front of a board of executives every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And part of that presentation skill really was honed in Legal Outreach through mock trials. The first time winning a mock trial debate felt like I was on top of a mountain. So that confidence and just understanding that I can present and I can really motivate people to not only take action has helped me day in and day out in my day-to-day job.
One thing that I really want to stress is I think there are a lot of organizations right now that are focused on bringing more diversity to the table. But what Legal Outreach does that is really special is they empower you to have a voice once you're at the table. So it's not just about getting there, but it's really about using that voice to make a difference.
We've got a great speaker right now, an alum himself, Jonathan Jordan.
Thanks so much. Good evening. My name is Jonathan Jordan, but my name is not particularly important for the context of my purpose of speaking with you this evening. And that is because, as you've heard, I am only one of almost 1,000 students and graduates that Legal Outreach has guided over the years. My twin brother and I grew up in humble beginnings. While I can say that we had all the necessities, extracurriculars were cut to maintain a strict budget. We lived in Flatbush, Brooklyn, which, although today is trendy, very much so, at the time was not the most desirable place to live. As a result, Aaron, my twin brother, my confidant, my co-conspirator in our lot in life, led an isolated and somber existence. It was me and Aaron against a world where excellence, academic excellence as a black male in our neighborhood felt like going against the grain. Some extraordinary event, an act of disbelief. But during our teens, my parents structured our lives around education. And we took this to heart because even at a young age, we understood that this was the only way out. But grit can only get you so far. At the time, my parents had only been familiar with the local CUNY college system. And for all my love for my mother, who's here today, thank you. She simply did not know how to maximize our potential and options. She simply did what any mother would, the best that she could. So how do you win the game of higher education when you barely know the rules? I guess looking back, the odds seem stacked against us. But then something special happened. As we were set to graduate the Salk School of Science in 8th grade, Legal Outreach came into our lives. I dove headfirst into debate, and for the first time, I interacted with men who wore suits to work. And as a young man, that was amazing. I thought to myself, if I continue to work diligently and hard, perhaps one day that could be me. Christian, Toussaint, you were my inspiration, my charge to be better. But what captured my soul was that finally, we were not alone. We had a village of people vested in our success. And by the time we were halfway through high school, it became evident that we had fighters in our corner, much to my parents' delight. Exasperated and many times overwhelmed, we found solace through Legal Outreach on how to successfully navigate the college admissions process. Now, I went to Beacon, and to my understanding, it's still a selective, desirable institution. But nevertheless, we were all surprised at how an excellent school like Beacon commoditized the guidance counselor process. We felt like a number. And though my brother and I had the 3.9 out of 4.0 GPAs, the key takeaway was we were highly encouraged to diversify our list by adding SUNYs and CUNYs to the list because Ivy League aspirations were not as realistic. When we shared this news with Ms. Cooper, we promptly threw out this advice. And in its place, we were introduced to a new list of schools that no one in my family had ever heard of, liberal arts colleges. It was because Legal Outreach really knew us, really set the expectation and bar as high as my parents would have wanted. The limited suggestions of our high school guidance counselor process were just not acceptable for them. And with LO's guidance, we applied to schools far beyond what we had known in our previously isolated world. It was because of Legal Outreach that my twin, my co-conspirator, became my college rival as I matriculated and ultimately graduated from Amherst College. At the time, ranked number 2, and my brother, always keen to compete and outdo me, attended Williams because it was ranked number 1. As a result of the opportunities and the quality of education found at our respective colleges, our lives have continued to blossom. My brother is now a dentist in Maryland with a family of his own. I'm a private equity professional in Connecticut. I know neither of us doing the law thing, but we still appreciate and love LO. Our children will be exposed to a life far more promising because of the lessons we've learned and the path that we followed. I'd like to close with this. As stated earlier, and as you already probably know, this is not just a story of the Jordan brothers. And as you've heard shortly today, ours is just one drop in the ocean, one piece of the mosaic of hundreds of students who have passed through Legal Outreach's doors since the 1990s. Originally, I did not want to share my story here today because the truth is, Aaron and I were deeply dissatisfied with our lives. We wanted to leave the past behind. But I was compelled to speak with you all today because it is a privilege to be able to share what is so special about being a part of the Legal Outreach family. It's a sense of community that is seemingly impossible to find, but so immensely valuable at the key inflection points in a young student's journey. It creates that new path for their families and eventually those who will come after them. The world is only becoming more competitive, more isolated, more fierce. And the mission and ethos of Legal Outreach is more important now than ever. Thank you for listening to my story.